Good. David Webb, radio talk show host and Tea Party activist, joining us. And on set, Matt McCall, Penn Financial Group president, and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. All right, let's talk about this. Leslie, I'm going to start off with you, all right, because, you know, listen, you heard our arguments. You know, I doubt that you and Senator Santorum agree on much, but you probably agree with him and even my little monologue at the top.
I do, Brian, and I get far more hate mail than you do, so it'll be okay. Just trust me, just delete them. But I have to tell you, this is a situation where we begrudgingly do what's going to hurt a little bit now, what will hurt far more later if we don't do it. When you talk about politics, unfortunately, the Tea Party candidates that have been elected and are the freshmen in the Congress are in a very precarious position. Because they need to show are they going to be responsible to the American people, but also are they going to be hypocritical to their word. Their word was they would not vote for something like this. Yeah. And that does fragment the GOP, and it does not shed any tears for me, a Democrat. But at the end of the day, this is something that Democrats and Republicans in the past have not been in favor of, and currently. But it is something, it's a necessary evil, so to speak, to ward off a larger evil economically down the road. Yeah, a couple rules when I anchor this show. Ladies always go first as guests, and also there's no holds in the buy-sell hold later on. So there's only buy or sell. We got to take positions. All right, David, let's get to it. You can lambaste me now.
Well, I am going to do it a little bit. I am going to do it a little bit, but here's where the reality is. Yeah, we're probably going to have to raise it, but I say starve the beast first. And to the senator's point about $50 billion in savings, not enough. In fraud and waste alone in Medicare, there's $60 billion a year. We need to actually have comparable cuts immediately, not down the road, if we're going to even consider raising the debt ceiling. It's time to starve the beast that is the federal government, to cut it. And for the Republicans, if you're going to be serious about this, then we need to see over the next 2 to 3 years a real working path to a 25% reduction in the deficit. We have got to get into the business of lowering that future debt.
10,000 people a day are turning 65 years old.
But here's the reality. Look, let me give you some of the bad news.
That wasn't the bad news?
That wasn't the bad news. The only way to cut government is to cut size, which means people, which means bureaucracies, which means cleaning up a lot of this bidding and contracting and defense. And if we don't start doing it and swallow the bitter pill, we don't benefit in the long run.
Matt, chime in here. You're the finance guy.
We have to raise the debt ceiling. There's no question about that. I mean, just look at what happened to the stock market and how many trillions of dollars basically were lost when the stock market got crushed with fears over Europe. Imagine if the U.S. defaults. I mean, it's not going to be, you know, the interest rates will go up, right? That's going to be catastrophic. That's going to crush the stock market.
That's my point. If the credit rating is cut,
this is catastrophic to the entire world
economy. We're going to be paying billions more in interest.
Right. I get all that, but the problem is the bipartisanship in Washington has been to bankrupt this country on both sides, and we have got to start swallowing the bitter pill.
Let the senator give. I thought we were going to have a little more heat. Everybody seems to agree, Senator. What's the problem in D.C. then?
We were very persuasive. No, look, I agree with you know, David. Look, this is a problem that is as a result of excess in Washington on both sides of the aisle. And I said at least $50 billion. I didn't say $50 billion. I said Ryan suggested 50. I said at least $50 billion. And I also suggested that they do some. I'm not saying they reform Social Security on this bill. Obviously, that's a very complex and long. But there are some entitlement reforms. You mentioned Medicare waste. There's some things that they can do, narrow, targeted things to at least show our creditors out there that we're serious about deficit reduction, not just discretionary spending, but entitlement spending.
Senator, we're going to leave it there. Senator Rick Santorum, thank you very much. We do appreciate it. We got all the panelists, I'm sure, are coming back here, so I won't say my goodbyes because there is no goodbye on this show. It just goes into the next segment. All right, on deck. It is not on life support yet, but the president's health care law may be ready to be admitted to the sick ward. And now Republicans say it is time to kill it no matter what the CBO says a repeal might do to the deficit. We have reaction. Remember, you are watching the fastest growing business network on TV. We're giving you the power to prosper, just not to hold and buy and sell. That's coming up.
Tonight on Follow. Health. Take this quiz. What do all these things have in common? They may soon be banned. When it comes to our health, has big government become Big Brother? John exposes how new laws will eat into our rights. Watch an all-new edition of Stossel tonight.
A rare moment of bipartisanship on the House floor. Republicans and Democrats reading the Constitution. This was a nod to the Tea Partiers who often said America's most important document was being ignored by the bureaucrats in power. The Constitution approved 223 years ago, but this is the first time, unbelievably, that it was read aloud in its entirety. The 135 lawmakers took an hour and a half for the reading. So we want to know what you think. The reading of the Constitution on the House floor. Buy, sell, or hold, 369. The president infuriating the right. And he's also making the left angry. That story tops tonight's 2-minute drill. Our all-American panel has returned. David Webb, radio talk show host, Matt McCall, Penn Financial Group president, and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. Let us start the clock. First up, liberals and conservatives alike seem to agree on at least one thing, that J.P. Morgan executive Bill Daley is a bad choice for Obama's new chief of staff. Liberal blogs like The Public Citizen blasting the president for, quote, selecting a person who comes from the very Wall Street that wrecked our economy, while conservative bloggers say the Daily pick shows the president remains, quote, indebted to the worst kind of favor trading fat cats. Panel, let's score daily. Leslie, let's start off with you. Apparently, nobody likes fat cats. What do you have against cats?
I love cats, but I think this guy's a bit too bombastic. I would like somebody more away from the personality type of Rahm Emanuel. I just don't think this kind of personality is suited for the position. And I have to say, anybody from Wall Street is certainly looked at as being a demon, because certainly Wall Street has helped to demonize in America's eyes the economy and has continued to break our backs, both left and right, obviously, signing a TARP, signing that bailout. So I don't think it's a good choice. And I know that people on the left and the right are angry, and rightly so. I'm one of them.
Matt, the president moves to the center on this pick, and he's killed by the right. I mean, what? Is anybody ever going to be happy about anything?
No, they're not.
The president does.
People love to complain, especially about the president of the United States. I actually think this is a very good pick. I mean, sure, the mass public out there is not a big fan of Wall Street. They say they ruined the economy and they're the cause of everything. He was in the Clinton administration, and everybody always touts how great the economy was. Then why are people lambasting this? You realize Wall Street built this economy to what it was over the last 20 years before we had a bit of a hiccup. This is just part of the natural cycle. So I think it's a great pick, and I think Wall Street likes it as well.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The progressives, they don't hate big business. They just want to control it and take all the capital in. So they're going to argue about this guy. He's got a commerce background. Look, I don't like seeing Chicago politics any more than anyone. But the Daleys have been knocking on the door of the White House. They want in. They're in. And is he going to be a good pick or not? We'll see if the Chamber of Commerce is right.
Time and the jobs number will tell. I always get sad when I see that. Round two, another Wall Street story, raising questions about the Federal Reserve's so-called blackout periods. This is basically around the time that important Federal Reserve meetings happen, right? The Fed muzzles its members during this time. The New York Post, though, reporting that New York Fed President Bill Dudley has a long history of meeting with top dogs on Wall Street during these blackout periods. David Webb, is there anything wrong with that?
Of course, and there's no pillow talk between Hillary and Bill Clinton at all about this is pretty much what it is. It's always happened. It's going to happen no matter what you want to do. There's going to be some collusion. I just want these guys to be honest the way they practice their business. We don't control the rest.
Matt.
I think it's a great practice, to be honest with you, because why not be down at Wall Street, which is a financial center of this world, asking them what they think right now?
Because Wall Street banks force people to buy homes at 10 times their income. You know that, Matt.
Oh, yes, and they forced TARP. But
please note my sarcasm.
Forcing them, right? I mean, come on. Wall Street helps build this country. It's the backbone of capitalism. They need to be